He unfortunately is unable to have more than 3 candidates in the studio at any one time. So this afternoon, our Central Australian election debate is between Dale Wakefield, the Labor member for Breitling. She's been the Minister for Territory Families and Renewables, Energy and Essential Services in her first term. And as of just June this year, she's also the Minister for Central Australian Economic Reconstruction. She won the seat for Labor in a surprise victory over former Chief Minister Adam Giles back in 2016. Robyn Lambley, Territory Alliance, she's the member for Arrowluan, originally elected for the Country Liberals in 2010. She became an independent in 2015 and was re-elected as an independent in 2016. She's joined the Territory Alliance Party as deputy earlier this year. And Damien Ryan, the CLP candidate for Arrowluan. He's been the Mayor of Alice Springs since 2008. You'll hear from each of them this afternoon on leadership, the economy, alcohol, crime, youth, renewables and fracking, all time permitting. And the rules of engagement are this. Candidates, you'll have 60 seconds to answer a question, and if a reply is required to an allegation, you'll be given 30 seconds. If you, listening, have a question for any of the 3 candidates, do text it through on 0487 99 1057. 0487 99 1057, and I will try my hardest to get to it this afternoon. Dale Wakefield, Damien Ryan and Robyn Lambley, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Alex.
Afternoon, Alex.
Alice Springs is a creative, culturally rich and extraordinary community. But the Berrima line often makes voters feel forgotten. Resources and infrastructure that is desperately needed seem to be invested in an unequal way so that we are always playing catch-up. Is this true, or is it just a perception? Robyn Lambley.
It's definitely true, Alex. The Berrima line is alive and well, and it particularly has been the case over the last 4 years. Alice Springs, well, what have we seen from this government over the last 4 years? The only thing that comes to mind is the building of the women's shelter, new women's shelter, $6 million women's shelter a few years ago. After 4 years, we still have no site for the National Aboriginal Art Gallery or Cultural Centre. We've had some money spent on sporting facilities, but by and large, our town has been neglected.
Time's up. Dale Wakefield, the perception from some in town is that Alice Springs is overwhelmed by youth crime. Business and tourism confidence is plummeting and no one wants to move here. And that's without bringing COVID into the picture. As the perceived, rightly or wrongly, Minister for Youth Crime, why has it been so hard to change this perception?
I think that over the last term of government, there has been significant discussion and investment into youth. We know that there are challenges within our community that have been there a long time. I think some of that perception comes from things like Facebook and a range of others where I think sometimes things can be amplified. But the reality is that we have got a significant issue that every territory government has struggled with. We need to continue to do that. We need to invest in that. But there is no silver bullet for this issue. Everyone knows that. Everyone who's been in government, who's been in town knows that this is a long-term issue that needs to be solved with hard work, consistent policies, and making sure that we're investing in our police, our teachers, our family support services, which we have done. And we can't have the cuts and chaos of the last government where Alice Springs was forgotten once again, and we know that that put increased pressure on our services, and it meant that we are now dealing with the issues that we're mopping up since we had the Royal Commission and a range of other issues.
Damien Ryan, as the Mayor of Alice Springs, you have spent much of your time at loggerheads with the Territory Government, who have described you and the Council as an economic handbrake on the town. Have you created hurdles, and does this show that you find it difficult to work with those with a different perspective?
Not at all, Alex. This is a dream from the current Chief Minister. The fact is he never met with the Council in 4 years. Former Chief Ministers, Paul Henderson did, Terry Mills in his time, Adam Giles. We have been let down by the Northern Territory Government, not just Alice Springs, but local government in general. For 2 years, there wasn't even the recognition from this government of local government. To play the card that has been played is the best way of hiding your own inability to deliver to our community. The discussion around crime, as you've just been talking, is just getting worse. People are concerned. They've been broken into one day and the criminal is back on the street within a few hours. This is difficult. This week alone on your show this morning, there is a hotel down the end of the road here 10 times this month it's broken into. How do people's mental health, how do they look after that? How do we look after business in Alice Springs when this continues to grow?
That's time's up. Time up. We're going to talk more about youth crime in just a moment. Robyn Lambley, I do want to come back to you just in terms of leadership. In 2017, you said that raising electricity tariffs by 20 to 30% in 2012 was crazy. We shouldn't have done it. You were the Treasurer then. You also criticised the CLP cabinet that you were part of that cut youth services in Alice Springs. You said that was a bad move. Why should Territorians trust you to do a better job as Treasurer this time?
Well, over time you learn, Alex. You learn. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. That's a common saying. So in 2012 we did make the move of increasing power and water tariffs by 25%. It was too much for Territorians. We thought we'd get it out of the way. It had to be done, and we thought doing it doing it sharply was the way to go, but it wasn't, and we apologise for that. Look. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. I think as someone who's been an elected member of the Northern Territory Legislative Assembly for the last 10 years, I've learnt a lot. And I'm one person who can say that I've made mistakes along the way. And I've learnt from those. So hopefully I'm a better person and a better leader for it.
12 minutes past 5. My name's Alex Barber here on ABC Alice Springs this afternoon. This is a Central Australian Leaders Debate with Labor's Dale Wakefield, Damien Ryan from the Country Liberals and Territory Alliance's Robyn Lambley. Let's walk through some of the key issues on the minds of Alice Springs voters right now. In particular, crime and young people. Last night, 3 businesses in Alice Springs vandalised.
My name is Denise McEwen. I'm a long-time resident of Alice Springs, and my question is, how are you going to solve the problem of youth crime?
Okay, we just hear this question over and over again. Typically, the tough on youth crime narrative returns around election time. All 3 of your parties are suddenly on the same page, but you all know that the Royal Commission recommendations say that a tough approach doesn't work. A therapeutic approach is necessary. And anyone that you speak to who works with young people will tell you the same thing. Locking up kids does nothing to stop reoffending. Right now, the Territory has 4 times the number of kids incarcerated than anywhere in Australia, and 100% of them are Indigenous. Dale Wakefield, can we go back to Mick Gooder's comments from early this morning in the news? I know you've heard them, and that is that your government has failed to implement so many of the key recommendations of the Royal Commission, despite accepting them, most of them, in 2017. Why has your government failed?
I dispute that. I think that we have taken a steady, strong approach to implementing those programs. Programs like the Cassie program, which is a therapeutic program alongside culture. Aboriginal men taking kids out bush to learn how to make weapons. Programs like 7 Emus, which is about an Aboriginal controlled sheep cattle station, taking young people out to learn the skills of working on a station. We have done a range of work around that. We have therapeutic programs inside the detention centres now run by Aboriginal men, such as Michael Little's Codes of Life. These are programs that are all in place. There is more to do. There is no silver bullet. We all know that we have to keep doing more. It's hard work, but no one has the answers. I think everyone needs to be clear about that. But this government has worked hard and will continue to work hard.
But you would acknowledge that's pretty damning from the co-commissioner of the Royal Commission, Mick Gooder himself. You're still yet to implement recommendations like raising the age of criminal responsibility from the age of 10. You haven't implemented family group conferencing, more intervention and more investment in early intervention and prevention.
We've also implemented over 100 of those recommendations. So I'm very clear that we have been implementing them in a slow, systemic way that is about making sure we get it right, and that, for instance, the age of criminal responsibility. We've accepted that recommendation, but we need to make sure that programs are in place before we change the law. Changing the law will not change the problem. We need to make sure the therapeutic processes are in place to make sure that we can respond.
Some might ask, why has it taken 3 years? That recommendation came down in 2017.
That was a part of the 5-year plan, was very clearly from the day we accepted the recommendations. We have a 5-year plan with the times on it. None of the recommendations are behind the timelines that were given. at the time of the Royal Commission. We have acted and will continue to act, and I dispute that analysis.
Damien Ryan, today your party has announced mandatory community service for youth offenders. What evidence do you have at all to show that a mandatory response like this would actually reduce repeat offending in any way? Both NAJA and NTCOS have said today that it in fact does the opposite.
We've got to stop blaming the victims. That's what's been happening in this community for the last 3 years. We have to start making the criminals responsible for what they're doing. We need to work with the community-led decisions. We need to work with all members of the community, but we have got to stop this business of putting people back out there. You said at the beginning 3 businesses were broken into last night. One of those is an empty shop. It was wanton vandalism that somebody would smash a window in the main street of Alice Springs without any concern. There was nothing in there to take. These are the issues. We need to work with Aboriginal leaders. We need to work with families, but we have to make people responsible for what they do.
But I think what people want most in the community is for the crime to stop. You haven't told me any evidence about how this mandatory community service would actually stop young people offending.
We need them to give back to the community. Mandatory will mean that they will be in work parties. They will have to make do for what they've done wrong. Right now, we don't have any acceptance of what these people are doing to our community.
But if you tighten the Bail Act, as you've said you'll do, that will mean they'll never even get the chance for diversion. You'll send them straight to court.
And we'll send them to court, and then they'll get sent to a boot camp. And a boot camp maybe is the answer, the fact that, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Where's the boot camp in Alice Springs?
No, we've committed to building a boot camp in Alice Springs in the first 2 years. That was an announcement that came out 4 months ago. And that will be built, and then those young people will be sentenced to a skill, not just sitting around in a room with PlayStations. We need to make sure that these young people's bad decisions at an early age are turned into good decisions later in life. We need to give them a skill. That's what's not happening.
Do you think it's acceptable for 10-year-olds to be locked up?
I think it's acceptable for any criminal to take responsibility.
Okay, and I just want to come back to it one last time. Do you have evidence to show that mandatory community service actually stops reoffending?
We have evidence that if you don't treat the issue, it will continue.
Robyn Lambley, I want to bring you in here. Despite being unable to show the research supporting a youth curfew, you won't let it go. Why continue to push a policy that you can't actually back up with evidence?
There is evidence. There's evidence right around the world that youth curfews work. And that can be found by Googling or doing your own research. I don't have to provide anyone the research that I was provided by the Legislative Assembly, if that's what you're referring to. A curfew is about caring for children enough to take them off the street at night if they're not supervised by a responsible adult.
Let's be clear, though. You did acknowledge, though, that the research that you have that supports a youth curfew equally says that a curfew doesn't work.
That's specifically the research that I requested. I wanted to know exactly what the pros and cons were. So that's exactly what the research provided me, yes.
You can see how that's not hugely compelling.
I wanted to know the facts.
But if it in equal measure doesn't work, you kind of end up in the same position.
The evidence is compelling because you can look right around the world. There are many, many examples of youth curfews. But look, it takes a courageous government to implement something like this. A Territory Alliance government is committed to implementing a nighttime youth strategy, which will include getting the children off the street at night.
The police don't want it, the NGO sector don't want it, the Alice Springs Town Council don't want it. How on earth will you get it through?
Well, when you become government, you have a mandate to implement your policies, and that's what we'll be doing.
Okay, let's move on. You're listening to ABC Alice Springs this afternoon. My name is Alex Barwick. This is the Central Australian Leaders Debate with Labor's Dale Wakefield, Damien Ryan from the Country Liberals, and the Territory Alliance's Robyn Lambley. If you've got a question for any of the candidates, do pop it on the text line 0487 99 1057. It is 5:20. Let's talk alcohol. Damien Ryan. Alice Springs introduced a voluntary floor price years before the Territory Government legislated one. People haven't been able to buy cask wine or cheap bottles in Alice for ages. Given that you've chaired both the Alice Springs Alcohol Reference Group and the Central Australian Health Service during the past decade, both dedicated to addressing the harmful consumption of alcohol, why on earth would you support the CLP policy to scrap the NT's floor price and reconsider the banned drinkers register?
Well, we need to see the evidence from the banned drinkers register. We're not getting that at this stage. It's like lots of things out of the current government. They're all held in secret. We don't get to see those. I think the discussion created earlier this week by the Police Commissioner about how we treat alcohol and how we learn to consume alcohol is a very good step forward. As he said, we need to start that discussion. As far as the floor price is concerned, it's not affecting those people. It is not affecting the people who are most at risk. It is putting the price of alcohol up to the retailers. It's not being spent anywhere else. I'm sorry, but the evidence is not there in that fact. We need to be...
Where is the evidence to put forward the policy that you have? Your CLP leader, Leah Finocchiaro, has admitted publicly she doesn't have any health advice in making these policy decisions. Why on earth would you trust her over the health professionals that you have sat alongside for years?
Because we have to move forward as a territory. We have to treat everybody equal.
What does that mean?
It treats people equal. Right now it's mamby-pamby around alcohol. It's over here, but we're not consuming alcohol where we live. The discussion, as I say, from the Police Commissioner is we need to address that. We need to be able to teach responsible drinking. I don't believe that the floor price is the only answer. I would like to see the evidence from the banned drinkers register, which we're not getting. I do agree with the parleys that have been on bottle shops for quite some time, but that's a cost to our community.
Nobody says that there's one single silver bullet. Everybody
please
talks
don't
about
use bullets.
Everybody talks about it being a suite of measures, and there is research going on right now, which takes time, as you would know, to actually take a look at all those different measures and work out whether or not it has been effective. Why not wait until that research, that evidence comes in?
Why don't we see what has already been done? Why do we put it off for years in advance? We've been waiting for this information for so long, Alex. That's what we need to see. If we're in government, we can view that, we can make better decisions.
But you're saying you'll make the decision before you see any evidence?
On the floor price.
Robyn Lambley, you've seen the police crime stats on alcohol-fuelled assault. You've seen the drop in numbers of people being treated at the Alice Springs ED. Why would you threaten to get rid of the Liquor Commission that has been working hard to make sure that responsible service of alcohol is happening in Alice Springs?
Well, I attended a hearing of the Liquor Commission late last year, and I was appalled at their attitude towards the licensees. They obviously have an agenda which is not clear, but these people, these licence holders, these publicans, these takeaway liquor outlet managers and operators were treated with absolute disdain, and I think that there is a problem when a commission like that is so judgmental and has so many preconceived ideas about who people are and what their agendas are. All I said the other day on radio is that we would look into exactly how the Liquor Commission is operating, because I question what their real agenda is.
Okay, but it sounds as though you've just got an issue with an attitude problem. Why would you just say there's an attitude problem and that as a result of that make a sweeping change?
Well, it's more than just an attitude problem. It's how the decisions that they have flagged. For example, a few months back they were talking about identifying suspicious transactions, and I don't know if you recall that, but there were lots of problems around that, and that was just an initiative that they were thinking of implementing only in Alice Springs. So there were lots of flags raised within me when I sat in that hearing about just what's going on in that space. And if we come to government, Territory Alliance will look indeed very closely at the Liquor Commission.
Dale Wakefield, let's shift from alcohol to the art gallery. It was one of Labor's biggest election promises in 2016. You had two of the most respected art curators in the country, Hetty Perkins and Philip Watkins, on board. They presented a detailed proposal for a gallery to rival Mona in Tasmania. They said it should be built at the Desert Park, which the NT government owns. Now they are so burned they don't want to have anything to do with it. How has a project with so much promise for Alice Springs ended in so much animosity with council, traditional owners and the community?
I think overall the community supports the project. I want to be clear, there are people that have strong feelings about the project, but the majority of people that I speak to say that this project needs to happen. They want us to get on with it. We have a tourism industry that is on its knees at the moment, and we desperately need new product to make sure that we attract tourists back after what is a very challenging period. This is the project that's going to do it. I'm the only person in this room that's been consistent on it, that has fought for it instead of blocking it. We know that there are issues with the desert park site. Lirratippa
What are the issues?
There needs to be an ILUA, and Lirratippa, which needs to be negotiated with Lirratippa, and Lirratippa have publicly supported the Anzac site. So we have got an important project that is about the economic future of our town. We need to deliver it, and Labor Party is the only one who can.
Respond?
You can, but just as part of your response, David has just sent in a text. He says, where will you build the Aboriginal Art Gallery? We know that Labor wants to build it. Their preferred site is the Anzac Hill Precinct. Robyn Lambley, where would you build it?
Well, if we come to government, we will be first questioning, is the money still there? You can't trust this government. They have overspent from day one. They sent us broke within record time. We're now facing a fiscal crisis despite the COVID pandemic. So our question, firstly, when we come to government, will be, where is the money? Because you can't trust this Labor government. They've divided the whole community for 4 years on this issue. They're claiming that I objected to something or other. I've just sat back and watched a debacle.
And so just a reminder, your location?
We will decide within the first 100 days. But first, where is the money?
Damien Ryan, where would you build the National Aboriginal Art Gallery?
We've already stated that we will take the recommendation that was first put up. The issue is that the Chief Minister, Michael Gunner, drove a wedge into this town over the decision of Anzac Oval. I'm sorry, but to the Labor candidate saying, the whole town supports it. That's not the evidence that I've been given. The town needs the gallery. It needs the money to build the gallery, but it needs to bring the community together. And this all goes back also to our crime stats. We've got to do something about that. Yes, we can build the gallery. We'll build it at the Desert Park.
Time's up. Okay, you're on ABC Alice Springs this afternoon. My name's Alex Barker. Just a few minutes away from 5:30. Are you all happy to stay on for a little bit longer this afternoon?
Sure.
Terrific. This is your Central Australian Leaders Debate with Labor's Dale Wakefield, Damien Ryan from the Country Liberals, and Territory Alliance's Robyn Lambley. Let's talk about the economy.
My name is Ronak Purohit. I'm a business consultant. My question to the leader is, how are you making it easier for businesses in Territory to prosper now and in the future?
Okay, the facts are that our economy is in serious trouble. Projected net debt is set to blow out to $8.9 billion this financial year. We're going to be losing $700 million in GST over the next 2 years. But nobody seems to want to talk cuts, and there's no money to spend. Dale, you're the Minister for Central Australian Economic Reconstruction. How are we going to get out of this?
We need to control the virus so that we can keep our economy rebounding. Because we've managed the virus well, it's meant that as an economy we've been able to open much sooner than any other parts of the country. So that's been very important. What we've also done is back in our businesses. We know that we have given the best support packages for business. It is more important at this stage for government to take the hit than for us to lose one business, for one person not to be able to pay their mortgage. That is the response that needs to happen. It is not the time for cuts and chaos. We need stability in our government. The most important thing in this election is stability. We need to make sure that we have a plan going forward. We've got our plans out there in terms of the Langerland report. We know that we've got to build new industries, and we have already done that, which we've demonstrated through the airport storage and a range of others, renewables. There are so many exciting projects such as Aileron, which have got government approval now. We need to be backing in the new industries, growing jobs.
People will say, come on, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Yes, we can deal with the virus, but we need bright ideas to grow our economy. And they want to know what those are from Labor.
Renewables. We've got an amazing project that's been backed in by the federal government, Sun Cable, which has been backed in again by the federal government. We know about that project. Yep, we've got projects in towns such as the hospital accommodation. We need to be looking at our aerospace economy. We know that we can be a manufacturing hub. High-speed internet will change the game, which we have already invested in into with the Tegovite Territory. Will change the game for what can be done in a remote town like Alice Springs. We have got all of those ideas. It's about also backing in the existing industries. Aileron is a great example. They have got all their government, they're ready to go. We're helping them get their financing. We know that that's the way forward, as well as making sure our tourism industry can survive, which is about investing in the gallery, which I didn't hear from either of those candidates.
Damien, the CLP says it won't cut anything. Why not? We clearly need fiscal restraint. And do you have any bright ideas?
The fiscal responsibility of the last government is woeful. Sorry, I nearly swore. We're talking about a deficit that we're only guessing about because the government will not show other people running in this election the figures.
That's not true.
Well, sorry, Dale, but it is true. You won't put the figures up. You've given us a guesstimate. The fact is that we have to create jobs. We have to create opportunities. We have to work with the private sector. We will work within. We will work within the process of being fiscally responsible. Nobody in the current government, I think, has ever run a budget before they got into power. Working in local government, you have a budget, you don't overspend that budget. That's our responsibility.
Let's be specific, though. You say there's no cuts, but then you say you'll be fiscally responsible. That means cuts and efficiencies. Where will they be?
There's 13 mines mining projects across the territory that have been stifled by this current government. We'll put in a coordinator to clear the way for those. We will take energy through gas that is not being exported now. We will export to the rest of Australia. We will create cheap energy for the whole of Australia. We will work with private investment. We will work fiscally within our budget. That is what's not happening now. How do you produce a $2 billion deficit to an $8 billion deficit and sit here and say we're doing a wonderful job?
Okay, time's up. 30 seconds for a reply, Dale Wakefield.
The candidate just made an outrageous claim. We know that we've put all the figures on the table. We know that the federal government have delayed the budget till November, so we do not have our income because they have changed their budget. We have put out every figure we have very clearly, unlike the CLP, who can't even get their policies in for costing on time. Okay, I should just say, though, they actually are putting in their costings on time by tonight. I understand Labor hasn't, even though you did put out that financial report.
It's all in there.
Okay.
It's all in there.
I guess the analysis is that there's maybe not enough detail. I want to bring Robyn Lambley in now. Why won't Territory Alliance supply your election costings to Treasury ahead of the election on Saturday?
Well, we're a small team. We're a new party. We've made our election commitments. We've